drain situation, and we have on most flat roofs. The ring is installed and it has bolts or studs with nuts on them that go through the collar to hold it to the roof drain. As you'll see the head of that bolt, normally what you would do is either cut it off or grind it off, and we'll show you why. Go ahead and remove that. Once you take the collar off, you'll notice, and I'm going to zoom in on it, that this is the general problem that we found with roofers, that the rust will be in that spot where you cannot extract the bolt or stud. It will break off, at which time then you have to drill and tap. Now we've come up with a better solution with the Tough Nuts product. What you can do at this point in time is to go ahead and cut or grind off, whatever's simpler for you, the bolt heads or the nuts, and then remove the collar as we've done. And then after you've done your roofing or whatever, then you could reinstall the collar. Now we deburr these, or what you would call chamfering the ends of each one, with a special tool, and we have two sizes for that, to clean that rod or stud or bolt up so that the nut will go on. You test your nuts before you put your collar back on and make sure they're going to fit properly. Now some of the replacement collars have a little slag on them or need to be deburred a little bit themselves. We have a tool that also does that. Then you put the collar back on, and then you go ahead and install your Tough Nuts. And with the roofers we've worked with, they tell us this saves hours of drilling, tapping, and the reinstallation of the cover is done. Okay, this is the underside of the drain, which you normally would see from inside the building that has the flat roof. Now basically the problem in there is the same. The two unlike metals have corroded themselves together, and the bolts that you see here do not want to come out. So the suggestion is to cut them off. Once you cut them off, you will realize that they weren't threaded all the way up as they should be. So what do we do now? You cut it off to the threaded part, take the deburring tool, deburr it, make sure a nut's going to start on it. Once you realize that the stud extender will start on the stud, then you go ahead and put your stud extender on, which is 3/8/16 threaded rod. So you would then put a piece of 3/8/16 threaded rod into the stud extender for whatever length you need it to be, 2 inches, 6 inches, an inch, a foot. And then you go ahead and replace your collar, and then you can go ahead and put your nut on to finalize your repair, and you're done. So either way you can make the repair. You could use a regular nut, you could use a Tough Nut, you could do whatever you needed to do. We made it simple with 3/8/16 threaded rod, because everybody can buy that anywhere in the world. One of my guys brought up a point that he would like to show it also being used with a bolt. You can use a bolt, but you want to make sure that the bolt itself, just put the bolt in would be fine, just to show you that you can put a bolt in instead of threaded rod and a nut. But if you put the bolt in, you don't want it to bottom out. So make sure your bolt is consistent or right length for you to finish the job. Otherwise you can just use threaded rod and a nut on the other end. We use Tough Nuts on our applications, but you could use any nut that you had available to you that's 3/8/16.